India didn't announce a defeat. It did something far more unusual. It acknowledged losing fighter jets, but refused to say how many. That single choice tells us almost everything we need to know. Because in modern warfare, numbers are power. They shape deterrence, they shape morale, they shape how allies, rivals, and arms suppliers calculate their next move. And when a military confirms losses but withholds the count, it signals that the real battle has shifted from the airspace over Kashmir to the global information space. Tonight, we're not counting wreckage. We're examining credibility, narrative control, and what this moment means for future wars. The admission that changed the story. For days after the fighting, India's official position was simple: deny everything. No jets lost, no pilots missing, no serious damage. Then came a subtle but critical shift. During a high-profile international forum, India's top military leadership acknowledged that fighter jets had, in fact, been lost, while rejecting Pakistan's claims about how many and how it happened. No numbers. No platforms confirmed. No timeline. Just a carefully worded acknowledgement. This matters because militaries almost never concede losses unless external pressure makes denial unsustainable. And that pressure didn't come from social media. It came from something far more uncomfortable. Why global media suddenly paid attention. Within days, major international outlets began reporting that Western intelligence assessments aligned with at least part of Pakistan's claims. Not because journalists love Pakistan, not because they dislike India, but because modern conflicts don't happen in secrecy anymore. Multiple countries operate military satellites, electronic surveillance aircraft, signals intelligence networks. When fighter jets disappear from radar, or when air defense systems light up unexpectedly, those signatures don't belong to one country alone. Governments may stay silent publicly, but information leaks sideways, to diplomats, defense analysts, and major newsrooms. That's why this story didn't die after the first denial, it grew. The information war nobody planned for. Here's the uncomfortable reality. India may have prepared for an air confrontation. It may not have prepared for an information confrontation at this scale. Pakistan released unusually detailed claims, specific aircraft types, missile systems, and engagement scenarios. India responded with restraint, denial, and later ambiguity. To domestic audiences, ambiguity can work. National media ecosystems are familiar. Narratives are controllable. But internationally, ambiguity is interpreted differently. It's often read as damage control. And once that perception sets in, every unanswered question becomes more powerful than any official statement. So why not just release the figures? Well, because numbers don't exist in isolation. If India confirms a specific number of jets lost, it triggers a whole cascade of consequences. Replacement timelines must be explained, parliamentary oversight intensifies, arms suppliers face tough questions, and then training, doctrine, and command decisions all come under scrutiny. And perhaps most sensitive of all, pilot outcomes must eventually be accounted for. Militaries can delay, they can classify, but they simply cannot erase personnel realities indefinitely. This is why partial admissions are often the very last line before full disclosure, or, just prolonged silence. Here's where things get more strategic. India is not just a regional power, it's a major defense customer. Every claim about downed aircraft echoes far beyond South Asia. When exaggerated counterclaims emerge, especially involving foreign-made platforms, they don't just affect regional narratives, they involve other governments. If a country claims to have destroyed aircraft tied to US or European defense systems, those claims are quietly evaluated by manufacturers, militaries, and intelligence agencies. And if they don't add up, the pushback doesn't come through official statements, it comes through leaks. That's how credibility erodes, not in dramatic collapses, but in these quiet corrections that no press conference can ever really undo. Now, consider the political layer. If a military operation achieved decisive success, history shows a familiar pattern. Officers are promoted, units are decorated, and commanders are publicly praised. These signals are not optional. They're how states reward competence and reinforce deterrence. When such signals are absent, analysts definitely notice. Meanwhile, Pakistan moved quickly to commend personnel involved in the conflict. That doesn't automatically mean victory, but it does indicate confidence in the narrative being presented. And honestly, confidence is pretty hard to fake at the institutional level. This leads to the most important question. If one side achieved overwhelming success, why stop? Ceasefires are political decisions, yes, but they're also strategic tells. They often reveal unexpected losses, escalation risks, external pressure, or miscalculations that change priorities mid-conflict. You don't need conspiracy theories to explain this. You just need to recognize that wars end when objectives become unclear or too costly. And really, silence about losses usually suggests the latter. Zoom out for a moment. This wasn't just an India-Pakistan clash. It was a preview of modern conflict dynamics, advanced aircraft facing integrated air defenses, long-range missiles shaping engagement distances, and information warfare unfolding faster than physical battles. Future conflicts won't be decided solely by who shoots first or flies higher. They'll be decided by who controls credibility, verification, and international perception. Because deterrence today isn't just about strength, it's about believability. India's admission, carefully limited, strategically vague, wasn't a mistake. It was a signal that something happened which couldn't be denied outright, but also couldn't be fully acknowledged without consequences. And that tension between denial and disclosure is where the real story lives. In modern war, the truth doesn't always explode into view. Sometimes it leaks, and once it does, no amount of silence can put it back.